Welcome in, everybody, to a Thursday morning edition of Birds 365, back in our normal 8 to 10 8 to 10 a.m. spot for the next couple of days. Johnny Mac, how you doing in this Thursday morning show with training camp officially in the rearview mirror?
Yeah, training camp in a lot of ways, it doesn't, nothing stops. So it's just sort of like that imaginary demarcation line.
Right.
But, in a couple days, Tuesday of next week, you're going to get down to 53, the initial 53 and all the stuff. And you see it around the league, a bunch of trades. I saw 3 trades yesterday.
Yeah,
so,
I saw a couple, yeah.
One of the things about the new breed of GM and how he's sort of at the leadership of this is they're more willing to. Back in the old days, man, nobody traded. It was like a bunch of old crusty guy. We can't do this.
Yeah, right.
Now everybody's like, yeah, well, let's move around, and everybody seems to enjoy it. So I expect a trade or two still coming from the Eagles. I really do. So we'll see how it shakes out. But you can see there's far more GMs willing to do things, and I think that makes things more interesting, more of a baseball feel, more of a baseball trade deadline feel, more of a NBA trade deadline feel,
Right.
where there's more stuff going on. So I think that makes it more exciting for fans.
I agree. And I think those two players that we've talked about, John, on last night's show and earlier this week, just Ringo and Dotson, those are maybe two guys who could be floated out, but wouldn't surprise me as well if Howie went, another surprise name. I was surprised to see Thomas Booker traded a couple weeks ago. Not saying it's that crazy, but it was a little surprising. It wouldn't surprise me again if Howie went a different route or kind of moved somebody I wasn't quite expecting.
No, wouldn't surprise me at all. Some of the edge rushers, I say they want an edge rusher coming in. There might be an edge rusher going out if somebody, wants to give something up, and they're having some issues, and because that's a very valuable position around the NFL. But
Yeah, who do you think would be the guy if it was a guy there, like
Ojulari?
Yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah. So a bunch of guys under sort of potentially could move. There's a lot of surprising. Yesterday Harrison Phillips was that was a big surprise. So there'll be guys going that that you probably don't think are going. Some of it's salary cap related. Some of it's just trying to, gather draft capital for other moves and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. John, with training camp officially done, and before I get into that, I actually just want to welcome and thank everybody for being here this morning already. We appreciate our great crowd this morning. As always, if you're listening live, we appreciate you. Don't forget to hit that like button. It's one of the best things you can do to help this show. All right. And then drop your comments in the live chat. Drop your comments down below. If you're listening after the fact, if you're listening to the podcast, we appreciate all of our great podcast listeners as well. Don't forget to leave a review over there. Help out the show any way you can. We appreciate all of you guys for being here. Quan, Master Eagle, Alfredo, Twiz, Cody, Valenci, Tony C, Daz is in here. Appreciate everybody. Wayne the Pain, what's up, Dan? Appreciate all of you guys. Anybody I missed, I didn't mean to miss you. John, now with training camp in the rearview mirror, how would you kind of describe this training camp as a whole for the Eagles? Was it a success? Was it a failure? Was it a blah? How would you kind of describe the training camp at large?
Yeah. Well, blah is a good word. I said, it's just, one of those things where they're very established. So there's not a lot of questions. I would say the questions there are on defense are probably not gone to the way they would have liked. Obviously, forget about, the fact that they already went outside the organization to try to find a cornerback tells you all you need to know about that competition. I think there's some positive, not some positive, a lot of positive with Jahad Campbell, because we all thought that he would start later in the process. Now it looks like he's going to be a week 1 starter. So that's a positive in that competition. Safety, I think it's a little negative from the standpoint of, obviously they want Drew Makuba to do it. You had the splashy plays in the second preseason game, but he's hurt again. He's hurt twice already and won his first training camp. So that's probably not gone. as well. Edge rushers probably not gone as well, the third and fourth guys, as they would have hoped. So I would say, a little blah, but not poor by any stretch. Not not like, oh, they had a bad training camp. More of, they're a really good team, and some of the holes they did try to fill in, they don't look like home runs right away. It's not to say they can't turn into that, but they don't look like home runs right away, the original plan.
I think that's fair to say. John, is it also fair to say that when your team has as much success as the Eagles have had, some of this other stuff becomes a little more boring, and maybe training camp is a good example of that right now?
Yeah, well, I think the NFL as a whole, the mindset around the NFL contributes to that, and that a lot of teams, not every team, but most teams, I would say, the tipping point has shifted towards most teams. Care more about getting their key players to week one healthy than, going all out in training camp. And a lot of coaches I've talked to over the years, and this goes back years, said, well, when they scaled back into the CBA, and remember, this is all collectively bargained. You can't practice like you used to practice by law, by edict. You can't. So a lot of coaches came to the conclusion, well, we can't practice the way we want to prepare. So why push it? And let's get to week one as healthy as possible, and sort of, and that's where the mindset comes in, that the first two games are really the preseason games like they used to be. And you have some sloppy football, and you start to hopefully sharpen up as things go on. So that's sort of like the NFL landscape. And people have made that decision where I need my guys in week one. And then, if they get hurt in week one, at least they're hurt in a meaningful situation. Doesn't make it better, but I think it feels empty. I said that yesterday. It feels empty if you lose a guy in the preseason.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. John, does that bring any concern with that approach, just considering the Eagles' first four games are really pretty tough? I mean, the Cowboys, I think, are the easiest of the four, and then you have the Chiefs, you have the Rams, and you have the Bucs, who I think are actually a pretty sleeper team to be pretty good this year. What do you think of those first four games? I do think the Eagles have kind of an uphill battle, or just a tough first four. Any concern with that based on, what you just explained, that it might be a slower start?
Well, I haven't looked at it, but I know right off the bat that Dallas, is not preparing like, they're still arguing with Micah Parsons and all that stuff.
Yeah, probably good on Dallas.
And the Rams, I know Matthew Stafford's been out with the back injury, and everybody's worried about what's going on there. So, they're doing the same thing. Kansas City, probably Andy's, old school. And I haven't seen much of what's going on in Tampa. They're a good team, and that's a difficult spot, as it has been. I think the weather forecast
Weather's the toughest part of that game.
Yeah. Will pay. So, right off the bat, Dallas and LA are doing the same thing the Eagles are. Not Dallas in a different style. They're just Jerry's he's a piece of work, man. So I think people forget the other end of the spectrum. I think I've always said Eagles fans are very hyper focused on the Eagles, which is most fan bases, and they don't really pay attention to the other teams. The other teams, the context is, well, they're doing the same thing, a lot of the other teams. So, and the Eagles have more talent. So, yes, on paper, the first four games might be the most difficult stretch on the schedule. But they're better than all four of those teams. And a bunch of those teams are handling, it's only four teams, but at least two of those teams are handling things the same way they are.
And that Matt Stafford Rams injury is a little shaky if I'm a Rams fan right now.
Well, it's the same thing with AJ Brown here. The Rams say he's fine and it'll be fine. And he's older though.
Back is from that it's back, right? He's got back problems.
Yeah, he's got a back thing. So, I assume he's going to be there. I wouldn't hope, I would never hope for a player to be injured. I assume he's going to be healthy and playing, but they're being cautious with them, same as they are here with their star players. So, and that's happened all around the league. I mentioned Jefferson just returned yesterday after 20 days or something.
Yeah.
He had a little hamstring. I've been seeing that guy jump around like a knucklehead on, broadcast. He's doing the one game on NFL Network. He's doing play-by-play from the sideline. He's jumping around. He's joking. People are just being cautious with their star players because that's the NFL landscape now, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to change at all. And I think the Eagles have been at the forefront of it. So had a lot of success. Can't really criticize what they're doing or the way they're doing it, John. So overall, still in good shape for this team coming in. John, edge rusher has been your biggest concern, and to be honest, I don't think we answered any of those questions through training camp, unfortunately.
Well, I'm a little bit more confident in Alex Hunt that'll be able to be a competent starter. So I think that's a positive.
What's the root of that confidence?
I think he's had a good camp. He hasn't looked overwhelmed against a very good offensive line. And Jordan, by a lot of practice, most of camp, he got the concussion. He's been out a couple days, but he's been out there most of camp. So I think he's been okay. I think he's had, I would say, I would tilt towards the positive camp for him. Nolan Smith, my only worries I said are injury related and more, not even injury related, more of wear and tear related. Can he hold up at his size for 17 games in his injury history? That's my only concern with Nolan Smith. I know he can play. And then the other guys, I mean, I don't have tremendous confidence in any of them. I think Uche's been fine. Now he's banged up. He's got a groin. Everybody else has been sort of underwhelming with the exception of Patrick Johnson, who's been good and is always good in August. But I think there's that limited upside that Howie, talked about that I brought up. He can find backups anywhere. He's worried about guys with upside. So when you start whittling down to 53, think about upside more than meritocracy.
John, you
on
mentioned
the back end, back end of the roster.
You mentioned Ojulari. Maybe I'm not saying you have information or anything, but Ojulari, I don't know, just as a potential guy who maybe they trade or as a surprise name. Do you think they would bring in an edge, or do you think they'd be fine going with Uche, Obo, and Patrick Johnson as the back?
No, I still think they're going to bring in an edge. I will think that until the week one kickoff.
You've been thinking that for a while, John.
I will think that until the week one kickoff. Not to say I'm going to be right, but I cannot believe that Howie Roseman is going into a season with this edge rushing group. And I think he wants to add, and I'm not talking about Trey Hendrickson or Micah Parsons. I'm talking about a young player with upside. I think he wants to add something to that room from an upside standpoint.
I guess not. I mean, it feels a little redundant at this point to get another player that has upside. Like, I think we're feeling the same with Nolan and Jalix, who are upside projections, basically.
Well, I don't think Nolan is, like I said, but
I mean, John, you're the one who schooled me on this. You're like, dude, he's played 9 games, Zander, and I'm like, yeah, you're kind of fucking right.
Well, I get, but it's all tied to, can he hold up? Like I know he can play, not just from the 9 games.
It's not a talent question with him, right?
Not just from the 9 games. I mean, I know he can play, just from watching him every day. But yeah, I have significant concerns about other parts of that equation. But no, I think that's a position you want 4, and you at least want 3 with who can be starter level ceilings, as Howie said, and then you can cobble together the 4th and the 5th guys. So, and And I think if they get one more guy, I think it all fits into place. Obviously, if they were able to get a Hendrickson, I mean, then it turns from weakness to strength overnight. Everything falls into place. Like I think Hunt should be a third, the number 3 right now.
Right.
It's like a baseball rotation, and I think Nolan's a great number 2, but he's not an ace. So if you get the ace, everything falls into place.
Right. Everything improves a little bit.
And
that doesn't feel likely to you though, right?
No. You're talking about, I mean, the only way Hendrickson would fit is if he woke up today and said, "Hey, I want to go win a Super Bowl. Let me go try to do it, and I'll play on my contract that he's been," But to me, he's underpaid by every metric by a drastic degree. He wants $35 million, and no, they're not paying that.
Maybe you can make an argument they should, but I guess they're not going to, based on what they have coming down the pipeline with all the contracts coming up. But a lot of questions, John, on the defensive side of the football. I think offensively things are feeling pretty good. You mentioned Jalen. You think has had one of his best off seasons. Definitely cool, calm, and collected. Jalen Hurts definitely comfortable and confident at the microphone, and really at large seems like for Jalen Hurts. So. A lot of questions, though, on that defense, though, John, and I think that's going to be the story of the year this year is what is that defense able to do? What is Vic able to get out of those players that he's got on that side of the ball?
Yeah, and that was, really where we were at this time last year. I think people forget there was a lot of uncertainty. So from that standpoint, there's a positive nature of, Vic will get it done. And I think too many people are of that ilk probably in the building as well. Yeah, he's great. I talk him up all the time. Best defensive coordinator, I think, in the NFL. I think he's a future Hall of Famer. They ever take assistant coaches seriously, coordinators. He's one of the best coordinators ever. But you look at his career. He's got bad talent. He had bad seasons. Talent is more important than anything else. And the Eagles, I'm not saying the Eagles have bad talent, but my point is, if you got to use it as, if you got 15 level talent, 15th level defense in the NFL, Vic will probably get you to 12 or 11.
Right. Exactly.
That's what I'm talking about. If you got 32, he's probably getting you to 23 or 24. That's sort of what happens. And you see that throughout his career. Again, he's never had the number 1 defense before. I think people know he never won a Super Bowl till last year. So a lot of things went right last year. A lot of most notably Zach Bond would probably be the really out of left field. Rookies playing at the level they played at. And then guys who were here and had been here having career years. Guys like Josh, more so Milton than Josh Sweat. But Josh was close to his top tier level. Jacoby had a career year. I don't know if CJ had a career year, but he was around for 17 games. So I guess you could say he had a career year. He was good in 2022 as well, but he missed a bunch of games. So a bunch of things fell into place last year.
No doubt, Johnny Mac, a bunch of things falling into place. We got Jeff Kerr falling into place as well. He's in the green room. We'll get to Jeff in just a second. Let's go to Dank Bird Gang, who checks in on a super chat. And Dank actually goes somewhere that maybe is one of my bigger concerns. He says, has Drew Kendall had snaps at guard just in case something happens to Steen?
Yeah, he got second team snaps at left guard in the Cleveland game in the second half. Played the entire second half at left guard. That was the first time he had gotten left guard snaps. So, I mean, if you're going to be an interior backup and he's going to be in the interior backup, you have to be able to play multiple positions. You have to play all 3 on the interior. So they've started that cross training process. I think you'll see him at left guard again in the preseason finale. And they've just started that process. But yeah, hasn't gotten snaps at right guard yet, but he's gotten snaps at left guard.
Yeah, well, I do think that offensive line depth is maybe a little bit lesser this year, but we will see how it pans out. Dan, thanks for the super chat, brother. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody for being here. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay locked in on Birds 365. One more super chat, then we'll get to Jeff Kerr. Josh Herman says, "Hey, John, any update on who's playing in Game 3?"
Yeah, nobody that you want to see playing in Game 3. Well, I don't know how deep of a fan you are. None of the key players are playing.
No.
Even to the point where,
these stupid third games of the preseason are just a wash, John.
Yeah. They signed a linebacker yesterday, Chance Campbell, which is an indication they didn't have enough linebackers to get through this game because they don't even want to play Campbell in this game. Probably not Trotter either. So you're going to see a big Lance Dixon Dallas Gant game, and Chance Campbell, who you probably don't even know.
Yeah, that's a snooze fest.
That's what you're talking about in this game. Yeah. Unfortunately.
No doubt about it. Let's go to our main man, Jeff Kerr, set to join us here on Birds 360.